Mocabinho is a tiny little rural town with only a few hundred inhabitants, but it does have a church that looks like a 3-stage rocket. And this balancing rock. Later in the day I passed the 70,000 kilometre mark, so I buried a coin to mark the occasion. Just a few kilometres before Caetite, I saw line after line of wind turbines. It seemed like they were slowly waving at me. These turbines are situated on a mountain range called the Serra de Ouro, the Gold Mountain Range. But ironically, these mountains contain uranium. In fact, Brazil's only uranium mine is just a few miles from here. I saw many horses being transported and was soon to find out why. I rode through Caetite's main street and saw more horses. The reason there were so many horses was there was soon to be a cavalgata, a cavalcade. Looking for a place to stay, I eventually found this place, the Hotel Alto Sertao. Sertao means like outback, hinterland, backlands. There was no parking lot, so I had to leave it outside. The receptionist said not to worry, there's security cameras in the gas station. Gas stations here look like chemical laboratories. With so many different types of fuel on sale, they need charts to explain it all to the consumer. My plan for today was to head 500 kilometres or so up north to a place called Ziki, but I only got 150 kilometres before trouble struck. Google Maps took me up BA 160. It was a terrible road. The potholes were so bad, after a few miles I just turned around and went back. But then when I was heading back, and I was doing quite a fast pace because the road improved again, the back wheel locked up so violently because I was going so fast. I just don't know how I didn't come off the bike. Somehow I managed to stay on the tar and upright and not skid and fishtail and everything. And there I was, stuck in the middle of nowhere. This time the swing arm chain tensioners are completely mangled, destroyed. No choice but to unpack and wait. Luckily a taxi came along. He went and got Gilvan, a motorcycle mechanic. He was unable to fix it on the spot, so he had to go and get a ute, but soon we were heading back to town. Luckily I'd only broken down a few kilometres from a small town, the town of Bom Jesus de Lapa, which means Good Jesus of the Rock. After he'd fixed a horse cart, he got straight to work. The damage to the chain tensioner on the swing arm was pretty substantial, but nothing a bit of Gilvan's welding skills couldn't fix. A new heavy-duty O-ring chain from a bigger bike. I wonder what that means. Up to 30,000 guarantee? Up to? The thicker chain required a thicker sprocket. The problem is these bigger sprockets don't come with a 4-bolt pattern, so some welding and fabrication was required. Gilvan said it could be done in one day, and I trusted him. While a metal machine shop looked after that, he took me on a little tour. First we crossed the Rio São Francisco. Saw some abandoned buildings. There were bars and restaurants and boats tied up on the other side of the river. The great British explorer Sir Richard Burton descended this river in a canoe in the 1860s. He noted efflorescent mining spoil heaps that shone so bright at night, river pilots used them like navigation beacons. The town is built around this huge limestone outcrop known as the Morro. It's riddled with caves, and Gilvan wanted to show me what was inside, and I have to tell you, it was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Crutches. Rupture trusses. It's a Bible quote. It just goes on and on. It's like a labyrinth. Photos. They even have bins for different types of votives. Apparently, a Portuguese priest stumbled upon these caves about 300 years ago, started living here, and then it became a place of pilgrimage. Musicians are not forgotten here. This is a veritable little village of tiny houses. I guess these people are giving thanks for having a healthy baby. There she is with her own shrine. Nossa Senhora Aparecida. The next stop was a motorcycle parts shop.
Cortesia. This is the only place where the spare parts has Johnny Walker as a courtesy. Along with the hot water, coffee, they have Johnny Walker as a courtesy for its customers. We're in Brazil. We are in Brazil.
Yes?
Yeah.
This is the second time I've had this done in Brazil. Had the 4-bolt sprocket new teeth welded around the outside. I really hope those weld joints hold up. You can see here it's a bigger sprocket. That will reduce the top speed, but it will also reduce the strain on the chain.
No, I had a lot of problems because it's a Chinese bike. It's got a Honda engine in it. It's a 300, but it's too powerful. It's breaking the chain, the sprockets, everything. But we put a chain off a 650 on it. I'll show you how thick it is.
Segurando, mas você falava que o trem pesar mesmo.
All done. Time for a test run.
Tudo bom?
Gilvan kindly arranged a place for me to stay, with his friend Rodrigo, who was studying to enter the army. Gilvan invited me to see his capoeira group. This uniquely Brazilian activity is a mixture of dance and martial arts. It has its genesis in the time of slavery, when the slave owners banned slaves from fighting amongst each other. They disguised it as a dance and avoided a severe lashing as punishment. Sometimes it looks like a dance. Sometimes it looks like martial arts. Sometimes it looks like acrobatics. Gilvan told me this young man had a paralysed arm and some psychological problems when they accepted him into the group. But since that day he has improved, and now he's a happy, well-adjusted young fellow, very popular with the group.
You know, I fully understand that young fellow, because after only being there 1 hour, I really felt like I was part of something special, something friendly, a brotherhood kind of. I really liked it.
Next, Gilvan wanted to show me the town cathedral. You can see here the windows aren't finished yet, it's still under construction. I met his girlfriend and I met his cousin, who spoke excellent English. Not that I needed English to appreciate this great Brazilian food. Ochima Hafeiko.
What are you doing there? Hey! amongst my stuff. Rodrigo was over 6 foot. He practiced taekwondo, and I hardly ever saw him because he was always studying or out training, getting fit ready to try and get into the army. When it was time for me to leave, he refused any kind of payment, not even for food.
Instead, he gave me a book on Christian ethics called In Search of Hope.
When it came time to shake hands and say goodbye, he put his hand on my shoulder, bowed his head and said a short prayer in Portuguese, wishing me a safe journey. I was so moved by that, and it was so unexpected. I asked Gilvan, what can I do for Rodrigo, because he's helped me so much. And he suggested I buy him a new tyre for his motorbike because the one he had was dangerously worn out. And I did.
Here you can see our bikes parked side by side. Rodrigo was overjoyed when he found out I'd gifted him the tyre. You know, I ended up spending 3 nights and 4 days in that little town simply because people were so friendly.
They wanted to show me their town. They wanted me to meet their friends and family. It was as good an experience for them, I think, as it was for me, because I don't think they meet many foreigners, especially not people from Australia. It just goes to show, you know, every cloud has a silver lining, because I would not have met them and I probably would have bypassed that town if my bike hadn't broken down on BA 160.